Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, and today I'll be reading a CaitVi listener by me. So let's get into it. Somehow, every time you visited Caitlyn's family estate, it felt less like an invitation and more like an infiltration. The Kierman manor was sprawling, all polished marble floors, and servants stationed discreetly in the halls. They were sharper-eyed than half of Piltover's enforcers, and Caitlyn's parents, especially her mother, had a way of making you feel like an intruder, even when you were technically welcome. Tonight, though, you were not. Not officially. Which was why you found yourself placed flat against the shadowed column, listening hard to her footsteps as you crept toward the long staircase that would take you up to Caitlyn's room. You moved carefully, deliberately, trying not to make the floor creak. Your heart hammered on your chest, not solely out of fear, but also anticipation. Relax. You look like you're about to rob the place, Vi said, her breath tickling your ear, and you shot her a glare over your shoulder. At this point, we're acting like we are. She smirked, unbothered, fists shoved casually into the pockets of her jacket. We're not here to loot the silverware. We're here to see Kate. And I don't know if you've noticed, but sneaking into fancy houses is kind of my specialty. You resisted the urge to roll your eyes. Yes, Vi. Breaking and entering is definitely a skill you should brag about. Before she could retort, a door down the hall creaked open, and both of you ducked back behind the column, holding your breath as a servant shuffled past, carrying a tray. The moment the coast was clear, Vi grinned. See? Easy. Right. Easy until Cassandra Kierman catches us. You muttered. That's why we're gonna be fast. You sighed. The two of you climbing the stairs, each step sounding impossibly loud to your ears. When you finally reached the long corridor, where Caitlyn's room was tucked away, you paused, listening. All quiet. And so you went ahead, and you reached for the familiar handle and opened the door. Inside, Caitlyn was perched at her desk, a stack of reports spread across the surface, and she wore a silk robe, her hair cascading loose around her shoulders. And for a moment you forgot how to breathe, merely looking at her. The sight of her in the soft glow of the lamp, elegant and utterly herself, was enough to make your heart stumble. She looked up the second you stepped inside, and her eyes widened. You too? Do you have any idea how risky this is? I leaned casually against the wall, grinning. Risky? Sure. Worth it? Absolutely. You couldn't help the small smile tugging at your lips. We missed you. Caitlyn's frustration melted instantly, though she tried to hold on to it. That's no excuse for sneaking into the house like common burglars. If my parents catch you, then they'll know you've got great taste, Cupcake. Vi cut in smoothly, and you laughed softly. Well, I can see how this is going, at least. She sighed, but her voice was already softer. At least no one got caught. Right. I know this was risky, Kate, but we couldn't stay away. The corners of her eyes softened even more, and she couldn't help but squeeze your hand gently before shooting via look. And you? Is this your idea? I should have known you would encourage this madness. I just shrugged, clearly pleased with herself. You can't say your mind is being here. She exhaled in exasperation, and her cheeks flushed the faintest pink. No, I can't, she admitted. That was all it took to dissolve the last of the stiffness between you. And the three of you sank down together on the edge of her bed. For a moment, none of you spoke, just soaking in the rare privacy. The manor felt like a cage to Caitlyn sometimes, and it was rare that she let herself be so openly vulnerable here. Sorry we're not subtle. We just missed you so much. It feels different when you're stuck here, like you're further away. I know. It feels different for me too. Being here, it's suffocating sometimes. The expectations, the constant scrutiny. With the both of you, I can actually breathe. Why wrapped an arm around Caitlyn's shoulders? Well, I'll keep that in mind. I suppose we'll have to sneak in more often. Hey, I didn't say that. Well, there's no other option if you want us to come often. It's either this, or we talk to your mother. Actually, I'd rather you sneak in for now. You both laughed, and Vi shook her head, smiling. Actually, yeah. I mean, it's a lot easier than talking to Cassandra. Sorry, Kate. Nothing wrong with your mom, besides a few things. Caitlyn shrugged. There's nothing to say about it. But enough of my mother for now. I'm glad you're here. Are we... You're staying the night, aren't you? Of course we are. We didn't come all this way not to do that. You nodded, and Caitlyn looked relieved. I'd hoped so. Thank you for making me feel like I'm not alone here. Always, Cupcake. Always. And as the night wore on, things got more comfortable, and the heaviness in the atmosphere went away. Laughter and quiet whispers filling the room. And as for tomorrow, he'd simply leave it for tomorrow.